Hi, I'm Erin Baldwin, debut author of Wish You Weren't Here, a sapphic YA rom-com set at a summer camp about two childhood rivals who are forced to be cabin mates. I wrote and love this book because at the time I was a travel nurse working in hospitals across the US at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was, to be completely honest, exhausting and overwhelming, and I could no longer consume media that was hard, that was heavy and painful and serious. And I was writing a dark YA political fantasy. And one day I sat down to write it and I just thought, I can't do this. I can't put myself back in this headspace that I was in 2 hours ago doing CPR on a 30-year-old. I need to bring something brighter to this world. And that's how I started writing Wish You Weren't Here, because I thought about the last time that I felt this kind of joy and levity and had this sense of community. And it was when I had worked at summer camp. I didn't go to one as a kid. I wanted to, but we were very poor. But I worked at one in college, and then for 8 summers after, I even quit full-time jobs to go back, which is probably not advisable. But it was the place where I felt like the best version of me. I think we all have spaces like that, even if they aren't summer camp. I wanted to create a space that felt transient in how special it was. You know, when you're in a moment and you're like, this moment is almost over and it's never gonna happen again and I'm never gonna get to come back to it. How to let go of that feeling, even when it feels disappointing. It was so important to me to create this story that was fun, but not cloyingly sweet. The characters go through these difficult emotions and they have this level of nuance, but the overarching journey is how to find goodness in saying goodbye to something. Because for me, writing and reading have always been about capturing the world in a moment. A character who feels like they're bigger than the page that they're on. Because there are so many authors out there who do that amazingly. Emily Henry, of course, in romance. Ruby Dixon is incredible at that. Chloe Leese, the Bergman Brothers series. In sci-fi, Andy Weir, Project Hail Mary, is so good at capturing this wholeness of being. And characters who feel like they are more than what you know about them. And it's so incredible to be part of this community of authors and booksellers like Boulder Bookstore who bring these stories with rich interior worlds to us. And that's what I tried to do with Wish You Weren't Here. And I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult, but a lot of people have been telling me that they like this book more than they thought they would, or that they don't like romance, or they don't like YA, but they liked this. So it's almost time for me to go, but before I do, I'd like to read you just a page, don't worry, I'm not gonna take too long, from the opening of Wish You Weren't Here, and you can tell me if you like it more than you thought you would. Chapter 1, Priatopia. The day I started 2nd grade, my teacher told me that Juliet Barrera Wright was much too difficult to name for such a little girl. What about Julie? That's pretty, he said, probably smug and condescending, though I can't picture him anymore. Most of the memory has slipped through my fingers, but a part still lives in me, vivid enough to feel, even now, the smallness. I shrank, like Alice after eating the mushroom. Everyone was watching, waiting for me to agree with this adult, just because he was an adult, even though it was my name. And the longer they stared, the smaller I got. I was drowning in my desk, surrounded by all these giants with easy names. Despite 10 years of distance from that classroom, my hands still sweat. When I think of it, my chest still tightens. Right as I began to taste the acceptance of Julie on the tip of my tongue, a girl I'd never met before said, "There's no such thing as too complicated names." My mama says only lazy people say that. Arthur pulling the sword from the stone, Gandalf and the Rohirrim arriving at Helm's Deep. The little crowd in my brain goes wild. There was no more discussion after that. Everyone's called me Juliet since. That is the one and only reason that I don't hate Priya Pendley. That was Wish You Weren't Here Again, I'm Erin Baldwin. If you're looking for me on social media, I am most places as Erin B. Writes, and I am on Twitter or X as Erin B. Writing, or you can find me at my website, erinbwrites.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that Wish You Weren't Here brings you as much joy as it brings me.